Hi, this is Pavel with a C# exercise from C# 2012 How to Program. This is Chapter 9, Exercise 4. We will be using some Linq to remove duplicate words. Alright, we are going to write a console app that inputs a sentence from the user. We will assume no punctuation and then determines and displays the non-duplicate words in alphabetical order. We will treat uppercase and lowercase letters the same. So we will have to use some toUpper method. We got a hint here. You can use string method split with no arguments, as in sentence.Split, to break the sentence into an array of strings containing the individual words. Basically, it splits the, if I write something like one word, two words, it will take these and splits it into, this would be element 1 in an array, this would be 2, this would be 3, this would be 4, and it would eliminate the spaces. It would break it, the sentence with each word, split it in a space. And it even says by default split uses spaces as delimiters. We will use string method ToLower in the select and orderby clauses in the Linq query to obtain the lowercase version of each word. Or we can use toUpper and get, convert everything to upper, it doesn't matter. Okay, so they want us to use non-duplicate words. Now, I'm not exactly sure, like if I write a sentence something like, the world is turning around, I don't know, this would be all non-duplicate words. But what if I do something turning around and is going to whatever? Now I have is here and is here. So now this is not a non-duplicate word. So I'm not exactly sure if they want us not to print any of these, like the is will be completely eliminated, or if they just want us to print, to display the first one or only one of them and ignore the next duplicate one. I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to do it so it outputs on each word that is in the sentence and is distinct. In other words, it would not print this one. And I'm going to do it another way, so it will not print is at all, because it is a duplicate. It is there 2 times in a sentence. Okay, so in any case, first I'm going to declare a list. It's going to be a static. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry, because I'm going to be using some functions, so I'm going to make it available throughout the class. So it's going to be a list of strings. So, and I'll call it a sentence list, just like that. All right, and this will store the sentence that the user enters. It will separate it word by word, like they want us to split at spaces, and each word will be used as an element in the list. Okay, so now we get the actual sentence, which is the user input. I'll initialize it to empty. And now we're going to grab that sentence. We're gonna ask the user to input the sentence. So console.writeLine, please enter a sentence, and I don't know, I'll display distinct words. In other words, this is the first time, like I said, I'm gonna do it in 2 different ways. This is the one that will display each word once. In other words, even if it's a duplicate, it will display it once, but not the second time. And then I'll show you how to do it so it doesn't display it at all. So the user enters the sentence, and now we can assign it to the sentence, which is simply console.readLine. Alright, so now we have our input, but over here I forgot actually, since we have the list, but it's not it's not in I have to create an object of list. So sentence list equals new list of strings. So now I actually have the object of the list. Alright, so now I'm ready to split the sentence that the user enters and place each word into the list. So our sentence list equals sentence now to lower. So in other words, we'll change every character in that sentence to lowercase. It's a method, so that's why we need the parentheses. After that, we're gonna split it just like they want us to by each space, and we're going to capture the distinct. In other words, it will only capture each word once, only the distinct words in our case. And of course, since this is a list, we have to do toList. So again, this is like a chain, chaining the methods. But here is our variable sentence list, which is the our list, and it goes actually from the back. We will convert the input to list. Then we will select each distinct words, and if the word repeats, we will not include it. We will only include it once. We'll split it by spaces to get the actual words, and then we will convert it to lowercase and add it to our sentence, and then whatever the value is will be stored in our list. This is basically like a loop, because it goes through each word or each space, because that's where we split in it, and it does the lowercase, it changes it to lowercase, it checks if any other words equals the same, it has the same value. If it does, it doesn't include it, and converts it to list and stores it in our list of strings. So now we have a list with all the words with no spaces that will be all in lowercase, and they all will be distinct. In other words, there will be only one of each. Okay, so now we can do the query. If I do simply variable query equals, it's a simple, I'll name it word in sentence list, and we're supposed to order them, order by word, and we will select the word. So now we have them in alphabetical order. I can even do that in order by word. It's by default is in extended order, so it's in alphabetical order. So now we have that, and now we can display the output in our for each loop, where our variable, I'll just call it as always element in query. Now we are querying the words in our variable query, and simply output them console.writeLine, because we want them each on one line, in a separate line, and we will output the element. And after that, I'll do console.readLine just to pause the screen. Okay, so let's test that. And when it's building, and it did. Alright, so please enter a sentence, and I'll display distinct words. So I will just do like something like 1, 2, 3, and 1 again. Alright, so I have 1 and 1 twice, but it should only display once. This is again, but it's the word again should be first because it's you know, first in alphabetical order, then and so forth. So let's see what we get. We get again and 1 3 2. So they're in alphabetical order, and you can see that one, the word one, is there only once. This one is not being you know, entered. It's only the distinct values, even though it is in the list. I mean, even though it is entered here, it's not entered into the list. So when we loop through the list for each loop, it's not there because we only using distinct. That's the keyword. Okay, so this one is the one way or like one method of doing this. But now I'm going to do it so when we get something like that, the word one wouldn't be there at all because it is a duplicate. Okay, so I'm going to use the same list. So after this, after we you know, display the values of the list, I'll just clear the list and prepare it for the next method, so function, because I'm going to now populate it with different words. So I clear the list, and now after that I will ask the user actually I may not even need to do that. I will simply use the same input that the user entered already in the, you know, the sentence. So we will simply use that. So now I'm going to display only words that have no duplicate at all. Alright, so I will simply say console.writeLine. Now I display words that have no duplicates. And now I will proceed and do that. So I will grab my sentence again. I will actually pretty much do the same thing. Remember, I already cleared the list because now I'm going to have different words from that same input, but different words. So I do this. I will do ToLower, to split, but no distinct this time. I don't want distinct because I will, even though they are distinct, I don't want to output them at all. So just ToLower and split and toList. Now I'm going to create a function that will actually deal with the, you know, finding the duplicates. So I'll just call it public, and it's gonna be static, so it can be accessed from the main. And I'll call it find duplicate, and it will simply take the each word. It's already, you know, we already will have each word separate. I'm going to call it from another query, so it's going to be just a single word at a time. I'll call it word too. So, and the way I'm going to call it is from a query. All right, so I'm going to do a variable query 2. I'll just call it query 2 from word in sentence list. So remember, now the sentence list has different words in it. And now we will do something like, here's where I'm going to call that function. So I will declare a variable called duplicate, which will have the value of whatever is returned from this function, from the function find duplicate. So it will call the function find duplicate, and it will pass the word. That's why I said that one word at a time, not the whole sentence, just one word. This is a query, so it goes word by word. We already have it split by words, so it goes through the list of words and with each word, it passes into this function and performs, the check to find the duplicates. So here's my query, and of course it will return true or false. Is it a duplicate or not? So we will only select where the words where the duplicate dot equals to false. In other words, if it returns false, means that it is not a duplicate. And now we can accept that word into our output. So now we will select that word. If it returns true, nothing is selected, it moves to the next word. So now how am I going to check whether it is or it is not a duplicate? So I'm going to create a boolean is duplicate, and I'll initialize it to false. And I will also do an integer called number of duplicates and initialize it to 0. This will hold. If it's not a 0, then it means it's a duplicate. Basically, that's what I'm going to be checking against. So now I will simply loop I equals 0, and I'm going to loop until I is less or equal to how many elements are in in our list. So to counting the elements in the list, but it must be -1 because otherwise you would get out of bounds. Or we could just do like this. It's less than. There you go. And I plus plus. Okay, so now we're going to loop through the list. Over here we pass one word from that list, and now we're gonna check that word against every word in that list. All right, so over here, if the sentence list, the element of index I equals the word, in other words, if they are the same, hey, then we have a duplicate, right? So number of duplicates increases. It's not 0 anymore, it will be 1. If it finds more of them, it doesn't matter. Once it's not 0, it's a false. It is a duplicate, so we don't have to really bother with anything else. So over here we'll simply do if number of duplicates is greater than 0. In other words, if there is a duplicate, then is duplicate equals true. If there are less than 0, then it remains false, right? So we will simply over here return is duplicate. All right, so again, we initialize it to false, and the only time it would be changed to true is if the number of duplicates is greater than 0. Then yes, it is a duplicate. It is changed to true, and it returns true. Otherwise, it will simply return false. Okay, so that's that. I forgot my semicolon here. So again, we have the query. It goes word by word from the list that we split by spaces, and that word, each word is passed into this function. And we loop through each element into the list, and we checked that word against every other word in the list. And if we find that it equals to some other word, then we increase the number of the variable number of duplicates, and which is initialized to 0. So now it's not 0 anymore, it's greater than 0, means hey, there was a duplicate, return true. All right, so that's that, and I think we can try to maybe run it and see what we get. Actually, well, we got the query, but now we have to actually output it, so I need another for each. that will loop through the query 2 and print the right line again, each element. Okay, so let's try that and see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I will do a cap, for example, 1, and I will do 3. So the first time we should get 1, 2, 3, 4, because those are the distinct values. These two should be simply ignored. But the second time we should only get 2 and 4 and ignore 1 and 3 because 1 and 3 are duplicates. So let's see what we get. So we get 4, 1, 3, and 2. That's correct because it's ordered by in alphabetical order the first time. Now I display words that have no duplicates, and it doesn't display it because I don't have the input right. So let me just try to do a quick debugging. Let's see what we get. So I'll just say 1, 2, 1. So it displayed 1 and 2 the first time, the distinct words, and let's see what it does when we enter the function. So the word is 1. All right. Now the list, now after we cleared it, has 1, 2, and 1. Okay, so it has all 3 words there as expected. So that seems to be correct. And it comes over here and it checks if it's an equal. And it says that it is actually a duplicate. So let me see. So the sentence, the list is 1. So this is the word we are comparing it against. And the word that we are passing is 1. So we pass in, so this word and the one on the list over here, it's the same word. It's not just checking against the other words. It's checking against itself. Let me demonstrate quickly here. So I'll have 1, 2, and 1. That's my list. Now into the function I'll pass the word 1. So it goes and checks against each of these words. So it comes over here and it says, yeah, I'm the same. And it's not just the same word, it is the same entry in that list. So over here when it says the number of duplicates greater than 0, it actually has to be greater than 1. The reason is that each one of those words is already in the list, so at some point it will come over here and it would be 1. In other words, it has one of its duplicate because you're checking it against itself, so obviously it's gonna match. So but if there are more than 1 duplicate, in other words 2 duplicates, then we know that the value that we are checking against is an actual duplicate, not the word itself. So that's why we need to change the 0 to 1. Okay, so if I run it now, and I'll do some sentence like Pavel loves the Walking Dead, and he loves. I'll make it like so it's different cases, and he loves the Matrix. So now we have a bunch of duplicates. So the first time it goes and it in alphabetical order, it displays the distinct values. So the word loves is there only once. The word the here is there only once. Now it comes here, it finds the duplicates, and the word loves and the word the is not output at all because we are not outputting any word that has a duplicate, but all the others are indeed here. So it seems to be working fine. Okay, so this was the tricky part, to realize that when it's the word that we are passing is from the same list that it is in. So we are checking it against itself once. Therefore, the number of duplicate for each word will be 1. If there are more than more words of those, if there are more than one of those words, I mean, then this will be 2. So that's why we don't check against 0, because like I said, each of them will have at least 1. We're checking it against whether it is greater than 1. In other words, we're checking it against 2 or more. And if it is 2 or more, then it's an actual duplicate, not just a word checking whether it matches itself, so to speak, in the list that it's in. All right, so yeah, I suggest you run the program on your own in a debug mode, see how how it skips, how the structure is, and it will be probably even more clear. In any case, I hope it helped you, and I will see you next time. Take care.